friends, what is up and welcome back to my channel. As you can tell, I have a little bit of an announcement, and this video sort of goes along with that announcement. It's a blending of the two, but basically I started another YouTube channel. So I've been getting a lot of requests to play video games on my channel, to talk about all things nerdy and geeky and other things that I really love. You guys know I've been torn between picking a favorite reading or video games, and I just wanted to do both. And it's really hard to bring different content onto a YouTube channel, especially when my reading has become more of, I don't want to say like a necessity, like something that I need to do, but it's something that I love to do and I love sharing it. And I put a lot of pressure, I guess, on myself to create content for you guys surrounding books. Now, when it comes to my geeky stuff, it's usually what I do, I would say, in my downtime. It is something that is 1000% purely for enjoyment. Reading, sometimes I will read things analytically, or I will read things that are deemed problematic to see if they really are. I tend to do that in my private time. I try to find books with good own voices in them, and it's like, that is more thoughtful. That is something that I try to really absorb, and like reading, you learn a lot from reading, and it really shapes, I think, who you are. Now with video games, it's usually what I do on my downtime. It is when I'm trying to relax. It is when, I'm trying to just have a good laugh. And for me, it is so relaxing, and it's basically just my time. And so I wanted to start a channel that has a lot of Let's Plays on it. I'm going to be playing video games on there. I'm getting ready to purchase a capture card. I am really excited to talk about all things geeky. My first video is actually going to be a Star Wars video. There just wasn't really a place for that on this channel. I will list that new channel down below, but as well as if you go to like my YouTube homepage, you'll see it listed in the channels mentioned. It's just basically called Jess Nevertheless Geeks Out. My good friend Bunny actually suggested the name. Like, I was like bouncing ideas off of her about whether or not I should create that channel. She was incredibly supportive, and then I was bouncing off name ideas with her, and that is kind of what we settled on. So I'm really glad to have such supportive friends. But if you guys want to check out that channel, it is down below. But today is going to be an amalgamation of the two. Today is going to be, and if you liked this book, you will like this video game video. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. The first one that I have here, I think, is the most obvious choice for me. If you are a fan of Sawkill Girls, The Wicked Deep, or Summer of Salt, you would really like the video game called Oxenfree. Basically, if you really like Sawkill Girls, Wicked Deep, or Summer of Salt, I think that you'd like Oxenfree because they both have a friend element. They also have a little bit of a spooky island vibe kind of element. Now, they're definitely not going to be exactly the same. I wouldn't say they are carbon copies of each other in any way, but they have that like friends trying to get through something that has happened to them, working together to make it work kind of vibe. And that is what Oxenfree is about. Oxenfree is about a group of kids who kind of go on an excursion. It's like their last year of high school, and they have this big bonfire on this island that is pretty much deserted at the end of the school year, at the end of summer. And what's really cool about this is while they are there, they end up accidentally opening basically this portal to an alternate version of this timeline. And there are people who were in a submarine that has sank, and they are being tormented by the people in the submarine, basically these ghosts. It's very, very cool. It's one of the only games I think that I played on every single console that it comes on. So I've played it on computer, and I beat it on computer, and then I played it again on my Xbox. I do want to get it for the Switch if it ever does come out. I don't know if it's available on the Switch yet, but I just absolutely love that game. It has beautiful graphics. It has wonderful music. The storyline is really cool. The best thing I think about this game is, however, there is no like battle system. It's a lot of thinking on your feet in like certain instances that happen, but it's more of a story-based game. So if you don't really play video games, I think that you'd really like it. It's very easy to play, and it's very fun to play, and it definitely has a lot of replay value as well, because you can choose different choices as you play through it also. Now, the next one that I have here is Kings of the Wild. If you like Kings of the Wild, or really any kind of like fantasy book that has a lot of surrounding friendships, especially when it comes to having like gay characters in it, I think Kings of the Wild has some of the best representation, definitely in Bloody Rose, I would say, but that series in general. But if you really like the friendship vibe when it comes to fantasy novels, I think that you'd really like Dragon Age. I specifically was thinking of Dragon Age Inquisition for this one because I have actually not played a lot of the original ones. I didn't really enjoy them, but when Dragon Age Inquisition came out, I dived head over heels into that game. I have so many hours in that game. I have like almost all of the achievements. I just absolutely fucking love it. It's a game that I just go back to when I'm feeling like emotionally drained and just want something to chill and play. The cool thing about this game is, yes, it is a fighting game. It is an RPG, so you do kind of get to build your character, build up your character, kind of shape them in how you would like them. There are trans characters in this game. There are gay characters in this game. And the really cool thing about it that I think really appeals to a lot of people are the dialogue. So you can have a lot of different conversations with people. You can kind of start romantic relationships with people, which I think is really cool. But also, as you are just walking around, you do kind of have a party with you. So it's you and 3 other characters, and they do have a lot of dialogue themselves. So they are interacting with each other. So if you put people in your party that don't really get along, they do kind of fight. If you put people in your party that do kind of like each other, they sort of flirt and have like a back and forth. And I really, really liked that. It is obviously a fantasy game. It is about a rift is what they're called in the game, but a rift opening in the sky, and a lot of demons from basically the nether are coming through to kind of fuck everything up, and you are the only person, your main character is the only person who can close those. And the game is kind of figuring out who you are, because you don't really have a fate associated with you, and no one really knows where you're from. So it's definitely like a blank pass, shape your character into what you want to shape it into kind of game. And it is never ending. It's really a never ending game, and I absolutely love it. If you are a fan of Skyrim, I think you'll really like this as well. The next game that I have here is We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. This follows a girl who's back home for the winter, not back home for the winter, she is at school for the winter and doesn't go home to see anybody because she has a really tumultuous past. And her friend and longtime kind of love interest comes to visit her. I wouldn't say I dislike this book, but I wasn't as head over heels in love with it that a lot of people were. But I will say, when I started playing Life is Strange, I saw some correlation between that. Life is Strange actually follows a girl who's able to kind of rewind time. Obviously, this does have consequences throughout the game, but she does end up saving her longtime best friend after she's finally able to see her again from like many, many years. It's been many years since she's been able to see her. And they sort of start this journey together to kind of undo a lot of the things that are happening, to find another of the characters', I don't want to say girlfriend, but depending on how you play it, girlfriend or friend who has gone missing. And there's a lot of really fucked up things in this game. I will say, be careful. It is very dark. When I started playing it, I didn't realize exactly how dark it was. So there are trigger warnings for sexual assault and murder and just really terrible things do happen in this game. But it is one of those games that is really story-based. So once again, the decisions that you make throughout the game kind of shape the way the game goes. So you can have a good ending, you can have a bad ending, you can have a super gay ending, which I really, really liked. There's a big choice at the end of the game that is really like, oh my god, like just thinking about it, but I really like this. So if you're looking for a game that doesn't have a whole lot of action and just has a lot of playthrough and replay value, I think that this is a good one. But like I said, it is very dark, so be very careful. But the other really cool thing about this game is it's very beautiful. It's beautifully made. The music is stunning. I love the characters. I care about them so, so much, and I wish I wouldn't have slept on playing this game for so long. So the next book I have here is actually a comic book, and it is Nameless. And this is about a gentleman who is recruited basically by a giant corporation to go to this planet to try to figure out basically what the fuck is happening there. And there are gods there that are actually wreaking havoc. They find them, it's like a super, super old war that is happening between the people and these gods. And the game that I think correlated the most for this is actually Dead Space. If you guys have not played Dead Space is one of those games that you have to prepare yourself for. If you're looking for spooky and you're looking for a hard to play game, I would go with Dead Space. Dead Space is one of those games where it's very limited resources. The HUD that you're using is very, I would say, at the time was very interesting and new. The HUD, as you use it, actually kind of pops up. HUD is basically where you keep all of your items. It's basically your inventory. You can switch out weapons and armor and things like that. But what Dead Space actually follows is a man who is on a ship. He wakes up on a ship and there are aliens, and these aliens are not nice aliens, and they just, it's one of the most gory, interesting, and hard games I have ever played. I actually had to stop playing one of them for a long period of time because there is a point in the game where you actually have to stick a needle through your eye, and it's done of the perspective where you are watching it and the needle is going through your eye. It's a very, 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 I cannot stress this enough, fucked up game, but it's also incredibly hard. But if you are a fan of Nameless, I think it does have a lot of those same vibes, but it is a survivalist game. So if you don't like survivalist games, I don't know if you'll necessarily like this one, but if you're looking for something spooky to play in the month of October that can really present a challenge, I would go with Dead Space. Now, I had to smash my two favorite things together. If you guys do not know, I absolutely love The Big Ship at the Edge of the Universe by Alex White. They wrote a phenomenal series to me. I love the characters. I love the overall sentiment of the book as well. It's a lot of, it's a sci-fi book. And the reason why I think that these two kind of correlate is because of the friendship and working together kind of aspect, as well as obviously the overall science fiction kind of theme. And that would be Halo, which Halo is, oh, Oh my god, Halo is my favorite franchise of all time. I used to say Fable, but the more I play Halo and the more emotional I get just thinking about it, like when the theme song for Halo comes on, I cry. Like, I love it so, so much. And I feel so stupid saying that, but honestly, I don't care anymore. I truly love Halo. It's one of the very, very first video games I remember playing in like my older, I would say like high school years. It was one of the first games to get me back into gaming, and I just absolutely love it. I am so excited for the new one. So, so excited. But I definitely see a lot of that like working together kind of vibe. So I almost called her Bunny. Boots is the main character in A Big Ship at the Edge of the Universe, and she actually has an AI that works with her. Obviously, the Master Chief, or Chef as I like to call him, has Cortana, and they work together as well. There's a lot of correspondence, I think, with like working with friends in the later Halo games, like later on in the franchise. They do kind of get away from it just being Chef, and a lot of the time it is like people that work with him or alternate character groups, especially if you played Reach or anything like that. But I love this franchise, and I think that if you like science fiction and you like the whole we're gonna save the galaxy like me and my ragtag team, I think that you would really enjoy Halo. Now obviously Halo is not a new franchise, and I find that a lot of people when they are trying to get into video games tend to play Halo with their friends, so a lot of you may have already played this, but if you haven't, I would give it a try. It is a lot of fun, and I think that especially if you're playing with people, it can be even more fun. I have spent many an hour playing with my roommate, and it's some of the most fun that I've ever had, like just basically fucking around, like, because we've both played the entire thing multiple times, so it's a lot of fun to just play with a friend. And if you don't want a lot of pressure, I would skip the online multiplayer and just play with friends like through the campaign, and you can kind of choose the difficulty that you want. You can go really easy if you want to experience the story, or you can go really difficult. I would say that Halo overall does have an incredibly interesting story as well. There are what they call the Covenant, and they are aliens that the people are basically fighting against, and there are Halos, which are planets basically that people kind of inhabit. And later on in the story, you are introduced to other villains, I would say, such as the Flood. And if you're not familiar with the Flood, they are fucking terrifying. Like, I remember playing the game, and the first time you meet the Flood, I was just like, oh my god, like, what is happening? But it's really interesting and really, really fun. So if you want to play a cool kind of like story but also actiony kind of game with your friends, I would recommend Halo. Alright guys, so those are the video games that I think you'd like if you like these books. I am really excited to get this other channel going. I can't wait to play some games with you guys. I've been kind of back and forth with people on what game I should play first, but like I said, if you're wanting Star Wars content, nerdy content, geeky content, everything like that, that's where you can find it. I want to be able to show you guys this side of me and not really like bogged down like people who come here for book content, but be able to have the content that other people would like to see. I don't really want to make privated videos for people. Like, I want to be able to make what I want when I want. So if you're interested in that, like I said, I will link it down below. But thank you guys so much for watching. I love you so, so much, and I will see you in my next video.